All right, we're up. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, the 31st of January. We've just had a whole bunch of absolute legends finish our 28-day Kickstart, the first 28-day weight loss Kickstart for 2022. Super proud, super pumped. We got some $1 trillion energy going on in the house today here at Unity Gym. We haven't met. My name's Yanni Bormeister, of course. To my left is head coach and none other than Richard the Rig Lellies. We are Unity Gym and the Unify movement system where we turn driven people into athletes. If you're watching on YouTube, smash up that like button. Show us how strong you are. And we are going to get this underway. Today, we're talking about to band or not to band. And of course, we're referring to power bands when strength training. We're going to talk about when we use them and when we recommend not to use them. This comes from a question from a while ago from one of our YouTube tribe members. And I know we've got Will in the comments. Maybe if Will can remind me who the comment was by, that'd be fantastic. Also want to give a big warm welcome to everyone. If you're tuning in on the Movement Mastermind Facebook group, make sure you comment and let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from, so we can send you some love. I'm just refreshing the YouTube feed to get it up here. All right. And yeah, let us know who you are in the comments. We've got a few watching live. This is a really important topic to cover. It is a great question, and I do want to give some props to who asked it. So please, Will, Proud Misfits. Proud Misfits is the YouTube handle. So if you are watching, this one's for you, brother or sister. Okay, first and foremost, bands are a very effective tool when used correctly. And we like to use them when we're doing what's called a static contraction exercise. So I think, what's a good example of a static contraction exercise, Richie?
That you could use a band for.
Yeah,
If anyone know
a
what
lever progression.
yeah,
Or a
or
plant progression.
a Pallof press, isometric hold. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically where you hold the band, and the band is attached to something sturdy, and it sort of like pulls you to the side, and you have to resist
Pulls
that.
you laterally. Yep.
It's very cool lateral core exercise. Anti-rotation, it's called anti-rotational strength.
That's right. And then also something more obvious would be like a planche progression where you're trying to deload some of your weight, or a lever progression where you're trying to deload some of your weight. Now, all of those examples, the band is being used to apply either resistance in a static position where the body is not moving, so there's a constant and continuous, consistent tension produced from the band, or to assist the movement when there's still a constant, consistent tension being applied from the band. And when we don't like to use it is when there is a variable tension being applied by the band. And the reason for this is, so to give you an example, would be in a pull-up progression. And there's a caveat to that argument where we do like to use the band when there's a varied tension, and that is when the band is actually applying force against you in a very mechanically advantageous part of the lift. Think of a barbell back squat where you anchor the band to the floor, and so as we come up, the hardest part of a squat is at the very bottom of the lift, and therefore when we're training the barbell back squat, you actually are only usually ever training the bottom part of the lift mostly. Once we get past parallel in the knees, and then for the last 2/4 of the range of movement, it becomes dramatically easier. And for the very last quarter of the movement, there's very little load being trained in the body at all. So if you think about that logically, it would make sense to find ways to apply additional load to that top portion of the lift so that we're developing strength up there as much as we're developing strength in the bottom of the lift. And that's an example of where a band in varied load becomes very useful. If we anchor bands to a barbell, to the floor, as we come up to the top of a squat or to the top of a bench press, the band is now creating more and more tension making that easy portion of the lift harder, and therefore manipulating the strength curve in a positive way that would yield a positive outcome, a good result, an adaptation to your strength. Where it actually doesn't work is when we're using it in a pull-up and it's applying lots and lots of load at the very bottom. So it's making the hard portion of the lift really, really, really easy. And it's making this, I'd say, the easy portion of the lift even easier. And the
Yep.
hardest part of the pull-up, which is at the top, trying to get your chest to the bar,
Yep.
it's making harder. And so in that instance, it actually messes with the strength curve and has a negatively yielding impact on your strength development. Richie, do you have anything to add?
I was also going to say, yeah, there's good times to use it for strength and bad times to use it for strength gains, but there's also good times to use it for if you want to apply the tension of the band better for muscle building. You know, bodybuilders love using these bands and whatnot to create more tension in that certain area of the range, like say a chest press. You know, when you're pressing through at the very top range and the arms lock out, there's very minimal tension on the pecs being applied there because naturally your joints are locked out and the barbell's over the shoulders, so your pecs don't need to do anything. Whereas if you tied a band around the arms and pull them out laterally, then you do have tension there. So it's another way of affecting, like you said earlier, the strength curve, which is where the muscle is weak, to create more strength in a strength pattern, or create more tension in an area for muscle building where generally there isn't as much tension as the other part of the range, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a very useful tool. And yeah, I think it requires a good understanding of what the strength curve means when it comes to muscle contraction, and B, how the body is affected by gravity as well. Because like I was saying, with the chest press, at certain parts of the lift, gravity is going to be acting on that joint maximally. It pushes straight down. But at certain points of the lift, as you go through the range of motion, gravity is going to act less on that load because of simply the body positioning and the joint angle. So it's very important to know where exactly you are in the strength curve and whereabouts, how the body position really manipulates that tension as well. So if you use it correctly, you will ultimately effectively use muscle tension better, and you will assist or help develop strength better by applying that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we're not proponents of training with bands or without bands. What we are proponents of is getting the most out of a workout and applying, you know, good science and common sense.
Yep.
And you know, in certain instances, what we've found is that they actually produce a negative response. And I'll give you an example of that. We used to use bands in our group training workouts at Unity Gym, and we did this for about 3 years. So we used to just hang a whole bunch of bands up. If ever the workout had a pull-up station, we'd hang a whole bunch of different resistance, different thickness power bands up. And people could just jump on the band that they wanted to and bang out, because it was usually always a time under tension round. So it might be a 40-20 split, 40 seconds of work time, 20 seconds of recovery time between stations. And you know, what we found was that despite doing pull-ups regularly in the program, over that 3-year period, it didn't yield a very good strength development result, meaning not many people who came in not being able to do bodyweight pull-ups learned how to do bodyweight pull-ups over that period of time. And since we introduced the use of eccentric, like different types of contractions to bridge the gap, so eccentric contractions, isometric contractions, concentric contractions, rather than using the bands, people are unlocking pull-ups very, very quickly. And so by that, I mean, rather than using the band to make the exercise easier, we use like an eccentric contraction where people are allowed to jump up to get their chest to the bar and then control the descent on the way down for time under tension and bank reps in that manner. Or using hybrid sets where if someone learns to be able to do like one concentric full pull up and down, They might do that 1 rep each set and then switch to doing an easier variation like an isometric or an eccentric contraction. Isometrics, I mean, you hold yourself up, but still in a portion of the exercise that you need to develop strength in. For a lot of people, that is at the very top when their chest is touching the bar, their biceps and elbows, the elbows are fully flexed, their biceps are under full contraction, their lats are under full contraction, etc. So we got a much better result when we removed the bands and started focusing on contractile types instead. And yeah, it's worked for everyone. Men, women of all ages have unlocked pull-ups in that fashion. And so, yeah, we sort of, applied our own science to it, and we have the luxury of doing that because we've coached literally thousands of people over the last 2 decades. And when you're learning, when you're researching, you want to get data points from 3 sources. You want to get data points from the research books, the journals, the strength and conditioning journals, and textbooks. You want to get data from your clients' results, and you want to get data from your results, and then apply all 3 of those data points to your programming, and then you'll usually come out really, really good with winning programs and formulas. And sometimes we will stray. Like I see it. It's okay to use bands or assisted pull-up machines when you're just trying to add volume to the workout in a
Mm.
bodybuilding format. Let's say you've done your body weight pull-ups already, and now you're doing an assisted, or you're doing a supplementary movement that's just there to complement the primary and bank additional volume. Then I think it's fine to use it because you've already sort of developed the strength. You've already practiced the movement pattern properly. But where I see it is as a negative is when you only use bands, because that person is unlikely to ever actually learn how to do a pull-up. And most of the time, that's what they're there for.
Yep. And I mean, the principles behind why we've changed from bands and gone into eccentric loading and loaded eccentric loading is quite sound. But what we've learned from our experience, it backs that up as well. We used to do bands for many years with our circuits at Unity Gym, and people never used to get one pull up. They always would get, as soon as you take the bands away, they just struggle. And as soon as we changed our philosophy, changed our mindset behind how to teach a pull-up and started doing eccentric and loaded eccentrics, we had people not being able to do one pull-up going to doing 4 or 5 pull-ups in a few months. It's quite amazing.
We got a great example of that in the comments here on YouTube. Daljit, big shout out to you. Thank you for sharing. She says, I practiced eccentric pull-ups all through first lockdown in 2020 with our home workouts, and now can do 5 sets of strict pull-ups, only 5 or 6 reps, but I couldn't do any prior. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. And this is what we're talking about. Give a shout out to Lisa Ownby. And we've also got Debbie on the comments here, watching from Austin, Texas. Austin has just announced that they're going to be pushing for legalization of Bitcoin. How good. You might become a Bitcoin state, Debbie. I'm very jealous. And I can see over on Facey, we've got Vinnie Brown in the comments as well. Let us know where you are, where you're tuning in from. Yeah, look, what Daljit's sharing there is an absolute perler of an example of how we do this with people in the UMS programming, and it is so much more effective than using bands. And remember, look, if your goal is just to displace calories or to add additional volume to your workout, then using things like lat pull downs and assisted chin up machines, and even the bands if you're in like a CrossFit style box gym, is okay. But if your goal is to actually develop strength in the pull-up movement itself, then I strongly advise that, yeah, you look at using the contractile types, variations of that as your loading parameter. Use hybrid sets, things like that, and you'll do much better. Morning, Simon Morgan. Thanks very much for your personal message over the weekend, brother. It means a lot. Will Purcell, that is an epic result, Daljit. Well done. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is, and you should be very proud of yourself. Yeah, guys, it's really, really important that you get those little things right. We see the default being to go and use bands, and as we said, This was a great question from Proud Misfits on YouTube. Get questions in like that. This is what we want to do shows about. So please, please, please keep asking. We always scour the comments of these videos to see what we can help with. So this is a really, really great one. Now, Tribe, we are going to be running the 5-day flexibility challenge with absolute vengeance this month. We had an incredible result the first 5 days. We've got testimonial videos pouring in from people sharing their breakthroughs and their biggest learnings from the 5-day challenge. If you guys are interested, get yourself into that group quickly. We did fill up last time, incredibly. But then we had to boot about 20 people out of the group who didn't do their initial homework, which we do because we want a tribe of absolute motivated people who are going to crush their goals and achieve that breakthrough. It's not a spectator sport, the 5-day flexibility challenge. It's for participants only. If you would like to get yourself registered for the challenge this time, make sure you leave a comment in here and the boys will hit you up. Yeah, we will get you going. I think what I'm going to do is probably put Will's email in this time, will@unitygym.com. You can send Will an email. He'll love it. And he'll get you he'll reserve a place for you in the challenge. It's going to be happening soon. All right, guys. That's all we got time for today. We're going to jump into our 28-day Kickstart, give them their last coaching call for the first 28-day Kickstart of 2021. Congratulate them all, and we will see you soon. Take care.
You guys.